right now we're going to make sure you're eating your lunch and listening to Classlink share with us today. They're doing some real leadership, which I'm very proud of. So over to you guys at Classlink. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to turn my camera off. Jeremy, you can turn yours on, and we already see your screen, which is awesome.
Okay, great. And can you see my camera sharing as well?
Your camera's black. Do you have like a sticky over it?
There is that.
There you are.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
thank you
All right,
very much.
over to you. Over to you.
Okay. And yeah, I am another Portlander here. So we do have some sunshine, as we can see. I saw you had a nice picture from the West Hills looking down at downtown Portland. So you could actually see my house from that picture. So just like Renee was mentioning, getting ready for some snow here in Oregon. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about some ways that we can give teachers and administrators the capability to track student engagement. So I know a lot of times, and particularly right now, we're in that situation where with remote learning, we're really not having insight into what's going on in the home. And what type of learning and engagement is going on with students working remotely. So sometimes I think of a pilot flying blind. And pilots can actually go in and they can take off and land without any visual sight at all. And they use all those instruments that you see in front of you to be able to fly that plane. Because when they get into fog or clouds or storms, they still need to go ahead. And we're in one of those storms right now where we have a lot of students out there that are precious cargo, just like these pilots have. And we, as educators, aren't really able to see what's happening. And so we need some tools, and we need to be able to have some ways that we can measure engagement with our students. So what I'd like to do is show the ecosystem that Classlink can create, where you're able to actually get the analytics you need to be able to see that your students are online, what resources they're accessing, how long that they're accessing those different resources, so you can really judge some of that level of engagement. And we want to be able to do that on the class level, the school, and ultimately on the district level as well. So the way that it starts, really, if we look, is our technology aspect of things. So ultimately, what we're going to be creating here is this is the core Classlink product, which is the one-click to all of our applications and all of our files. So that's a single sign-on environment that students can access all of their resources, and as well as teachers or administrators, even parents can use our single sign-on portal. We give it for everybody in your learning community. And then we also get the analytics from that. So if you have all of your resources in one location, then you can track what resources are being used, how often they're being logged on to, and how long they're being used for. So our technology, we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today, but I'd like you to know that it is available, and it's something that we use to set up our single sign-on, and that's going to be our one sync server. And what the one sync server does is provision. So let's say a new student comes in and is entered into the SIS, or maybe a new custodian comes in and they're not in the SIS, but they're in the HR system. Or let's say a substitute teacher comes in and they're not in HR, or maybe they're a parent volunteer that isn't in HR, and they're not in the SIS. So you can enter them in a database. But you need, for all of those users, whether a student or a custodian or even a volunteer, might need network access. So you need an Active Directory logon created for them. Maybe for your students and teachers, it's their Google login. They're using Gmail and Google Classroom. It might be Office 365. There's a lot of internal accounts to your district that would need to be created. So OneSync would create that for you. And then we have Roster Server, and Roster Server is really external accounts. So, well, your OneSync creates that Office and Google and network login. You need accounts created for all of your vendors and your different resources. So Classlink can pull from the student information system and say, you know what, these are the classes that this particular teacher is teaching, and they need access to all of these different digital resources. So we can roster out all of those different resources and create logins for that teacher and create a single sign-on platform. So they never even really need to know what their username and password is. They just have automatic access to all of those resources. And of course, that's the same for students as well. So we're able to look at the student schedule, say, okay, what resources does this particular student need? And then create all of that access for them to be able to have one click, the single sign-on to all of those resources. So there are also some community things that we have. So again, like I mentioned, parents have things they need to log into. So they may need to log into Synergy and look at their grades or whatever SIS you have. They might need to look at lunch balances. They might need to sign some permission slips for a field trip. So there are a lot of different resources that parents need to be able to have single sign-on for as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what Classlink would look like. And first, just to note, these are all the different ways that you can sign into Classlink. And when I show you the page, you'll see that a little bit more in real time. But one thing that we aren't going to show today, but is important that you're aware of, is the two-factor authentication. So we can provide an additional layer of security. So they can select an image or an email or a text message to add that additional layer of security. And it doesn't just have to be to log into Classlink. It could be for a particular application as well. Say a teacher's gradebook that you want to have some extra security on. So we're now going to take a look at the Classlink login page. So this is really a generic login page. And I'm just going to real quick check in with you. Leilani, can you see the sign into Classlink page okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so we see that there's multiple ways that we can log into Classlink. So we have, this would be a sort of a network login that you'd see. So just a username and password. We have a SAML authentication. Google is very popular. So if you have Google accounts for your students and teachers, you can use that for one-click access to all of your resources. We have an Office 365. This right here is our quick card. You can see there's a hand holding up a QR code, and we'll look at what that actually looks like in just a moment. But to explain it, it's a QR code that a student, particularly younger students, usually we see it from K to second grade, will have a card with a QR code that they can just flash in front of their computer, and then it will log them into the Classlink environment and have one click, single sign-on onto all of their different resources. We also have facial recognition software. That's typically used with students who have severe disabilities. They may not have the tactile capacity to work a keyboard or even a quick card, but we still want to have access, have accessibility for those students to resources as well. And we can see down in the lower right-hand corner, we have our app store for both iOS and for Android. So you can access these and access Classlink on your iPhone, your iPad, or your Android device. So those are native-based apps for mobile devices, because we really need anywhere, anytime, any device access for all of your applications and resources. And that's something that's important to note that Classlink provides. So let's say you're even doing remote learning or distance learning and you provided a Chromebook, but if that Chromebook breaks, you don't want learning to stop. So that student needs to be able to move over to whatever device that they have that's online and be able to continue their learning. And that's something that Classlink can provide for you. Now, this is a Classlink login page, but it doesn't have to be just Classlink. It can be branded however you want for your district. So you can see Hillsborough here, and we have a Portland skyline, not unlike the page that Leilani was sharing here. And you can see in Hillsborough, They're calling it just My Apps, and they're signing in using Google or that before mentioned Quick Card. So here, Portland Public, they're actually using their Active Directory, their network login for that. We also have password help for them. So whenever we're using network logins, we can actually manage all your password resets for you. And teachers even have the capability to be able to do password reset as well. We have here a North Clackamas. Again, they're just using, I don't see Classlink on here. It's just branded for North Clackamas. Their Active Directory login, and again, that quick card. Here is Vancouver Public Schools, and you can see they are signing in with Google or the quick card. So that network login went away. We don't see the Windows login at all on this page. So that's how Vancouver Public is accessing all of their resources for their students. And I wanted to show Wallowa here. We're going way almost to the border of Idaho, but the reason I'm showing this is I'm going to refresh this page, and I want to show some of the capability is to actually send out a notification right on that login page. So here they can say they're going to be using their Windows computer credentials, and you can see they're going to have to them pick a two-factor picture after they log in. So they're actually using that multi-factor authentication with all of their students and staff as well. Now, I mentioned the quick card earlier, and this is just what it would look like to log into a Chromebook. Now, notice in this Chromebook has not been logged in at all. So they've just opened it up and they haven't even accessed the machine. So this can not only log you into that Classlink environment, it can actually log you into a machine as well. So this is going to log them into the Chromebook and then open up Classlink automatically. So this could be a Windows device instead of a Chrome device as well. So let's go ahead and we'll hit play on this. Oh, I may need to refresh this screen as well. So we're going to go ahead and refresh that. And we can see they're going to take this quick card and they're going to flash it in front of the camera. And that QR code is going to access that Chromebook. It's logging them into that Chromebook and then automatically opening the Classlink portal for them. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to log in and we're going to sign in with Google here. So I'm already logged in to a Google account. And when I open that up, we're going to see our Launchpad environment. So there are really three key areas to our Launchpad environment, and Launchpad in general is that single sign-on, one-click environment. But the first component that we're going to look at is called My Apps. So this is all of the different applications that this particular user has access to. And there are a couple of different things that we're going to notice about the different applications. So I want to point out something really quickly at the top of my screen. When I logged into the Launchpad, we had several applications open right away. So we can see here a Discovery Ed page opened, and it actually logged us into Discovery Ed. We had a Canvas open over here. We had an iReady tab open over here. So those are going to be things that are going to auto launch. So if I see this rocket ship here, we can see iReady had that and Canvas had that. We also had that for Connect Ed. That's where we got these tabs that opened up and logged us in right away. So you can see this is actually logged in to iReady, logged into Canvas. But there are some other things. So this Counsel Learning does not have that rocket ship. So although we have SSO into it, which is denoted by this key right here. So anything that's showing a key lets me know that I have single sign-on for that particular resource. But if it doesn't have that rocket ship, it's not going to auto launch. Now, another thing you may notice is there's a lock on many of these. And the lock means that that's something that has been pushed out at the district level. It's a resource that has been given to a particular student or a particular user that they don't want accidentally deleted or purposefully deleted from their My App section. So library resources, which are notoriously underutilized, are pushed out to all the users in the district so that they have easy access. And we can see we have SSO, we have single sign-on noted by all of the keys in the upper right-hand corner for all of these different library resources. So we're logged in as a teacher right now. So teachers are also going to get their staff resources and their HR links. So we can see here a teacher, and again, this could be a custodial employee or a lunch employee or the superintendent for your district. So anyone who is actually an employee of the district would get this HR link. So they can see their 401k, their medical, their pay stubs. So that would all be single sign-on for them as well. Of course, a student wouldn't see those particular applications. We're actually going to switch over. I'll take a look at what a student might see. We can see that that's going to be really pared down for the student. And we still see those library resources, but then HR and everything like that is gone. So these are just things that the student would need to access. Now, student also has a backpack, and the backpack has all of the resources for their particular classes. So you can see here are the courses that this particular student is teaching. And this will parlay into something a little bit different for the teachers because we can get a little bit more information on the classes. So let's go ahead and we're going to switch back to the teacher. And this is going to show us the second aspect. Oops, I did not click on the right thing there. My apologies. This is going to show us the second aspect of the Launchpad environment. So right here, this is the My Apps, and we're going to go into the component that is known as My Classes. So My Classes here has all of the different preps that this particular teacher is teaching, and it's going to give them a little bit more in-depth information. So because on the Launchpad, students are accessing, this is really, really important, they're accessing all of their resources in one location. They're accessing their resources that have been handed out for every single course here. So this gives you a one portal where they're actually going online for their resources, and we're able to grab that snapshot of what they're doing. So there are some other programs out there that will only give you single sign-on to maybe half your resources, or they'll only roster into a few things. This Classlink will give you SSO into every single one of your resources. So you're able to track that under the My Classes component of it. So let's go ahead and we're going to go into world history here. And we can see there are some basic tools for a teacher. They have announcements. So if they go to the megaphone up here in the right-hand corner, they can give announcements out, which is right like we saw with Wallowa's district, how they had that announcement pop up on their home screen. Teachers can have an announcement pop up for their students, just letting them know maybe there's a quiz or a pop up for parents saying that we're going to have an open house next Wednesday. So their teachers can do that. They have all of their applications here. So I can see that these are the applications. When we saw that backpack for the students, this is where a teacher can add in different applications that they want to use with the student. So we can see here for world history, there's a lock on that. So that means that this is something that is given out to every world history course. So at the district level, they've said, okay, from a curriculum standpoint, all world history students are going to get this particular resource. So that could be a textbook. That could be a different application. But teachers, of course, can customize that as well. So they can add in different applications for their class. Now notice here, we have different libraries for that. So we have a K4 library, we have a teacher library. So teachers can actually look and they can search through different categories. We have single sign-on for nearly 7,000 different applications, but these are also curated at the district level. So these particular libraries are district level approved apps. So we look at the applications that are available for teachers, and you can make it available for students to add as well. Those are things that have been curated at the district level and approved. There's some applications that a lot of districts see that don't meet security and privacy rules, which can be a huge concern. They may not have pedagogical value on there, so they may not have any educational value on there. They may not have licensing for that, so they could be used illegally in that regard. So you want to be able to have some control at the district level, what your students are using, what your teachers are using on that. But if they want to add their own application, they can have approval, so that this is where teachers could create something and create a workflow and ask for permission for that. Or again, if it's just from the library, we want to do 15.5, we can hit add, and then this is going to be added for all the students, and we can see we have a single sign-on for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Teachers also have discussion boards on this, and students, this is a huge capability, is for teachers to actually look at individual students and they can change their password. So students not being able to log in, it can be a huge issue and create a bottleneck for learning for their entire course. So if the student has forgotten their password or they're having some problems getting into the class, teachers can enter a one-time user password and then even reset that for the students. Now, here are some of these analytics that we talked about. So when we're looking at student engagement, first off, we want to make sure our students logging in. So this is really the login gives us an attendance idea. So we have many of our districts here in the Pacific Northwest. We have several very large districts that are using this for attendance for remote learning. So we can see here that students, Neha here has logged in every day of the week, where Mossy didn't log in on Monday or Thursday. So this is something where we might want to check with Mossy why she isn't logging in on those particular days. So we have an idea, a quick overview of that attendance for the students. Teachers can even export this. This can be exported on an entire district level. So we have, I mentioned earlier, there are districts that are using this for attendance. So they're exporting all of this and importing it into their SIS. Now, when we start looking at engagement, we see that under activity. So we've done this whole build up to create this ecosystem. So because we're accessing all of our resources at one touch point, there is just one login, whether it's that Active Directory or Google or that quick card, they're accessing everything at one touch point. And so we're able to see all of the different resources that they're engaging in. So Mossy is logging in every day, but she may not actually be accessing things for very long. So we can see Charlie here was just on for 52 minutes in this particular day, or Angelica was logged in for 3 hours, almost 4 hours, 3 hours and 57 minutes. But we would like to see what Angelica was doing during that time period. So I can just click on that, and it gives me the analytics for how long she was in different resources. So we can see she was in Reflex Math for 48 minutes and Typing Club for a little bit over 3 hours. So everything that students are accessing through that single sign-on actually shows up right here, and teachers can see how their students are engaged. They can even look at some more in-depth analytics on this. We can see, oh, we're having a little issue there. I know some of our test environment is being transitioned over to a new one right now, so I apologize for that. But some of our data has been going missing. But So there are individual analytics that you can look in on frequency of logins, the different applications, the times that students are logging in, what type of machines they're logging in, if they're logging in from school or from home. So there's a lot of different data that teachers can access to be able to drill down and see what students are doing and how they're engaged in the classroom. So that's the second component that we're looking at. So we have my apps, we have the my classes. The other thing we have is my files. That's our third area of the Classlink user environment. So the students or teachers can have files stored in different locations. So they could have them on their Google Drive, they could have them on their school network. And sometimes it's hard to remember where things were stored. Or let's say there's a school network drive and you want to get off that network drive. You want to have everybody do that in their Google Drive. You can actually have things, and I can take this combining like terms and I can actually drag it, just drop it right into my Google Drive. So you're able to just drag and drop any resources between network drives, Google Drives. There are different services you can have. Maybe it's a OneDrive or Office 365. Again, it's not just your applications, but it's different resources that you have as well. In addition to that, we mentioned that we have a parent portal and we have a public portal too. In the parent portal, we manage all of the usernames and passwords for you. And the public portal, this shows the different approved applications. So we mentioned before that they're curated at the district level, and there's a workflow for approval. So these would be the curriculum department has approved all of these resources, the digital resources that have approved by request, not approved resources, and pending approval as well. Now, I'd like to just show very quickly, I know we're quickly approaching our deadline, our time being up here. So I'd like to just show that you can look at this at the district level as well. So here we have analytics for all of your administrators. So if you're at the district level and you want to be able to see what's going on at your schools as well, we have analytics that can look at a large overview. So here we have a dashboard of all the logins at the district level. So we have all the applications. We can see our login summary, so we can see our unique user. Now, unique user is very important. So that tells you the percentage of your students or staff that are actually logging in. It gives you data like your browser. You're able to look at schools. I can look at a heat map for my school, so I can see that 88% of the students at this particular elementary school logged in on a particular day. I can set my different date ranges to see that as well. So I can see here at Avalon Middle, 95% logged in. And I can even drill down on that and see the different login times. I can see the different applications that they're using at this particular site. I can look at my users. I can say, oh, you know what students or teachers have never logged in actually at this particular site. And a huge thing that we can do is look at the cost. So when you purchase an application for the district, you can enter in the amount that you paid for the application, the number of licenses that you did, and even some other meta tag information like when the subscription is coming due. But this gives you the unique users. A lot of times you'll talk to vendors and they'll say, you had 6,000 logins. But that could be 6 people logging in 1,000 times. So having unique users really gives you that count. So we can see for iReady, 140,000 licenses, pretty much online for their unique users. But we can see for Care Connect, they only have 2 unique users. So they're not paying $6 a license. They're actually paying $62,250 or $250. So that's a lot more per license. So this gives you a real analysis of the cost of what you're paying for all of your different subscriptions. So we're right at our 30 minutes. I want to see if we have any questions that have come up. Lalani, did we gotten anything? Any questions that have popped up?
Hi, I'm checking, relying on my cohorts here, checking chat, checking questions. I don't see any, but it doesn't mean that people aren't like noodling on it. So stay on, because we'll bring in single sign-on in our discussion of hybrid logistics in the future. So we might have some questions then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Lots of new districts also just sort of sniffing around going, what's my next stage? And you remember, Jeremy, stage 1 was mass confusion. And then it was like,
Absolutely.
hey, we have too many logins. Oh, single sign-on, what's that? Like, so we do have a lot of those districts joining the fray. Yeah, so that's what goes on. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.